Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel, and we're back with another Manchester United news show in what is a very, very important show, I have to say, and one that I've been looking forward to. And it's anyone who's watching on YouTube, you know by the title of the thumbnail and the title of the video itself, and it obviously has to do with the Glazers as the main talking point over the last couple of days. Obviously, since the financial reports come out in relation to Manchester United, and it's not nice viewing. It really isn't. The Glazers, in relation to dividends, have taken huge dividends out of the club, and Manchester United are after having a massive loss in, I suppose, the last 12 months, the financial year, and a net loss as well. So we're going to get into that. Plenty to talk about there. Some strong opinions on it. I'd love to know your opinions on it as well. So make sure you get your thoughts and comments into the chat about the Glazers and Manchester United and where you think we're going. Obviously, then, since we've last been live and since we last spoke, there's been a lot of, I suppose, updates in relation to Harry Maguire. There's been a lot of reports coming out in relation to sources close to him, and we're going to look into maybe the actual validity of it, and how much can it be trusted, and is it real, and we'll get your thoughts on that as well. So feel free to put your thoughts and comments into the chat as well, guys. Please smash a like on the video as well. Helps out the channel an awful lot. Anyone watching on TikTok, tap the screen for us, get them likes up, gets more people into the chat, and feel free to put your own thoughts and comments into the chat as well. But I suppose the only place we can really start in relation to this is obviously the Glazers. And yesterday, the yearly financial reports came out for Manchester United, and the main emphasis in relation to these reports, obviously, is Manchester United have made a huge loss over the last 12 months, and regardless of that, the Glazers, our owners, continue to take dividends out of the club, which I think is absolutely criminal. It really is. Martin, good to see you. See you in there. But yeah, I mean, look, it's crazy what's going on really at the club. So let me just run through really what's going on. And what's happened. So obviously it's been confirmed that Manchester United paid £33.6 million sterling out in dividends, and most of this went to the Glazer family, and in a financial year, so up to €20 million more paid out in dividends this year than the same time last year in relation to dividends. Now, the main reason for this is due to the COVID I suppose lockdowns last year, and no fans coming in and a loss of revenue. Rather than the Glazers taking out two lumps of dividends, which they do every year, they took one in the year of 2021, and in the year of 2022 then, or up until the current year, they've taken three sets of dividends out of the club. So that's why it's higher. But again, they haven't slowed down in relation to the amount of dividends they've taken out and the consistency at which they've been taking them out over the past few years. So it says higher dividend payments in 2022 compared to those handed out in 2021 are because of the timing of payments. One semi-annual payment was deferred due to the COVID-19 pandemic. So then that obviously carried over into the next year. So they took three the following year. The dividend payment in 2021 was around 10 million, and highlighting the sheer size of increase, despite the club posting a net loss of £115.5 million in the financial year. The figures have also shown that United have the largest annual wage bill in the Premier League, amounting to £384 million that they pay out in annual wages. United paid out 23.3 million in dividends in the year ending June the 30th, 2019, the last 12-month period that wasn't affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So they've actually taken out, I suppose, if you take the year of the COVID pandemic out, okay, and we look at how much the Glazers are taking out in dividends. So obviously in 2019, before obviously COVID hit, they took out 23.3 million, and now this year, in the last 12 months, they've taken out 33.6 million. Okay, so it's obviously gone up, and it doesn't seem like slowing down. And I suppose what's most worrying is the fact that Manchester United have made that massive loss of 115.5 million net. So basically, what that means is if you if you take into account everything you've paid for and all of the revenue you've taken in, subtract one from the other, and that's your net. And Manchester United have had a net loss of 115.5 million. So if you're looking at any logical business, okay, in the world, regardless of whether it's, a football club, if you're a painter and decorator, if you're whatever it is, so if you have shares in a business, then regardless of your position within it, okay, dividends are paid out to shareholders. Okay, now, so if we look at, and let me see, dividend, and I actually looked this up today, and this is going to be and I found it. I just found it hilarious. So the meaning of the word dividend, okay, a sum of money paid regularly, typically annually, by a company to its shareholders out of profits. Okay, out of profits. Now, Manchester United have made a loss, not profits. They've made a loss of 115.5 million, and these fucking leeches are still taking money out of the club. And it's just absolutely criminal. It really is. It's absolutely criminal. And it just goes to show why the protests have been so, vocal over the last few months. And I think these kind of reports that are coming out is something that these owners can't shy away from and they can't hide from. We do have, owners that are non-existent in relation to, the football club. They're never in Manchester. They're very hands-off, and in general, as we can see down through the years, they're very poor at running a football club, but yet they continue to take dividends out year in, year out. So it just doesn't make sense to me, really. Any well-run business that makes profits are entitled to take dividends out. But Manchester United have made a loss, and these parasites are still taking money out of the club. So it's absolutely criminal, and they're running the club into the ground, basically. And it's something we need to stay on top of in relation to a fan base, in terms of the Glazer out movement, in terms of looking to get new owners in. Now, there has been talks over the last couple of days that a new consortium is, I suppose, has come in relation to interest into buying Manchester United. First and foremost, they're looking to buy a 26% share with the intention of majority ownership further down the line. Hasn't been named who they are. No one really knows what who they are and who they represent. And supposedly there is a written offer gone in as well in relation to an actual bid to buy the club. So, the next few weeks and months are going to be very interesting. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. I don't think we can expect, the Glazers to be gone by Christmas or by next year. It potentially is a long drawn out process. I don't think they're going anywhere soon. If a new owner comes in or new shareholders come in, they're probably not going to get majority shareholders or majority share within the club, and the Glazers are probably still going to be involved in some way, for the next few years. But I think it's just very important that we keep the pressure on, like everybody is saying. Let's see what people are saying here on TikTok. Good to see so many people in. Keep smashing that like button for me, guys. Fair play. We're over 1,000 already, which is great to see. Democrat says pound is bomb, so United cheaper to buy. Patricia is in. Good to see you. Aldop says Glazers or rich Saudis. Which would you prefer? I don't really mind who owns the club as long as it's run properly. And I think that's the main thing, and I think that's the issue with the Glazers at the moment. Cottle is in. Good to see you, pal, on YouTube there. Anyone watching on TikTok as well, guys, if you do want to check out the YouTube, we're live there as well. We have the full experience. The chat is a lot quieter over there as well, so you tend to get the comments read out a lot easier. Link is on my homepage. You can go to the YouTube channel either. We're live there too. But yeah, I don't mind who owns Manchester United as long, and I think the main thing is when the Glazers took over Manchester United, there was no fit and proper test that was run by the FA and the Premier League and things like that. So the Glazers bought the club on debt, and that wouldn't be allowed now. So I think any owner that does come in, potential owner that does come in over the next, months or years, there will be this fit and proper test carried out. So it is a kind of, now look, a lot of reports suggest that it's not overly thorough, but it is something that's good to have in the background. So I don't mind who, as long as we get in owners that care about the club, and want to see us improve and are competent, then I'm happy. T is in the UK. Good to see you. That fella from Cork. When are we playing next? We're playing a week from Sunday. We're playing away to City. T says you have a heart of gold. Appreciate it, pal. Man United for life, says Med. When's the next game? Yeah, we mentioned that. Let's see. Key Talk says thoughts with the Pogba circus. I haven't really given it any thought, to be quite honest with you. It's some tough stuff going around. I've seen some of the tweets from his brother and stuff like that. So let's see what happens. Cooper is in on YouTube. Says, hey bro, how are you? I'm good, pal. Thanks for joining us. You're more than welcome. Retro is in as well. Democrat says they get 30% now less to their dollar since April, so selling more appealing now. And Alison is in as well. Good to see you, pal. Jock is in. Good to see you as well, Jock. And Dean the Machine is in as well. Great to see so many people in, guys. Jock says Glazers out all the way. And Lotesh says, I believe if it's bad, then it's bad. Life must continue. And Carol says, when do you think new owners come in? Again, it's hard to say really, because it's not something that you can go into an office with a bag of money to the Glazers and say, here you go, give us the club. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. It'll probably be over the space of months to years that we're looking at. But I think I hope I speak for the majority of United fans that all we want to see is some kind of progression in relation to a change of ownership at the club, because it's been going on far too long now that these parasites are taking money out of the club without reinvesting in any way. 133 million they've taken out in dividends since 2010. Jessica, thanks for the gift, really appreciate it. Yeah, so it's been 132 or 133 million since 2010, and that money should have been money that should have been reinvested into the club, into the facilities, into the stadium, into the training ground. And look, enough is enough. It really is. Enough is enough. Let's see. Twigs is in. Good to see you, pal. I'm hyped to see Mark Rolbridge managing I Show Speed tomorrow. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. I'm not sure what time it's on at. Cotton says, just realised there'll be a Manchester derby and a North London derby on the same weekend. That's class. Absolutely. I'm looking for, it's great. I'm looking forward to the games being back. I'm watching. I have the Ireland under 21 game on here beside me. They're in the playoff first leg, so it's great to look forward to the Premier League coming back, because you would miss it when it's gone. Jack, you should do a watch along for the Sidemen match tomorrow. I would, only I'm away tomorrow, so I can't. I was going to do a watch along for Ireland and Scotland, but I can't do it tomorrow. I'm away, so the next watch along is going to be the Manchester derby. So we'll have to wait and see for that one. I'm currently watching England versus Italy. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't really spotted any of the scores either. I haven't been keeping up to date with them. But says Carol says Pogba story is mad. Glazers own the Bucks in the NFL too, and they're getting all the money. Absolutely, absolutely. And the Glazers see this as just a little kind of a side hustle for them. Really, it's making them money without too much effort, and like. It'd be like me, selling things on eBay, which I've done before, and it's just something on the side to make an extra few bob, and that's exactly the way the Glazers treat Manchester United, and it's becoming more and more clear as the years go on, the lack of interest they really have in the club, and they're just pulling money out of it, and it has to stop. Colin says it's not just the owners that need to go. Well, yeah, I know what you mean. There's some players that need to go as well, and we're going to get onto that as well. Jessica says, have you always been a United fan? I have, absolutely. But yeah, look, this Glazer movement needs to keep momentum more than anything else. And I think if we can do that, and a lot of people will say, what can we do as fans, and we don't have a voice, and this and that and the other. But you'd be very surprised, because Manchester United and the powers that be, they monitor social media, and they monitor trends and how they're looking, and how they're how they're viewed in the media. And at the moment, obviously the team is very positive and there's a lot of positivity around it, but you take away the team and the higher echelons and obviously the owners, it's very negative. So the simple thing of putting maybe hashtag Glazers out on any social media post that you do, then fantastic. If there's any online petitions or any online forums that you can sign up to, if you're from Manchester, go to the protests. Obviously keep it peaceful and and do it right. But there is ways of keeping the pressure on these owners. And I think the pressure is on them because we're seeing more and more links to, new bids coming in, new ownership, the Glazers open to potentially selling, and things like that. And that is down to the pressure, and fans have to, I suppose, be praised in relation to that as well because if this pressure hadn't come on and, the protest before the Liverpool game, and lesser against maybe before the Arsenal game as well, these were scenes that were viewed worldwide. And the fan base that Manchester United has and the global reach that it has, it does put pressure on these owners. And we just need to keep it going. That's all we need to do. Keep it going. And hopefully, eventually we will get, the outcome that we actually want. Jessica says they need to reinvest the money instead of taking it and doing nothing with it. Absolutely. You go to Manchester City, for example, and go to the Etihad. I've never been there, but obviously I've seen, videos of it and stuff. And the whole area surrounding the Etihad is like Man City Village. There's museums, there's training grounds, there's facilities, there's this and there's everything there. And if you go to Old Trafford, which I've been to, a good few times, and I'll be going again in about 3 weeks. You go to Old Trafford, there's nothing around it. There's car parks, there's, just derelict areas and things like that. And that's the difference, and that's what we need out of our owners. We need reinvestment. We really do. Democrat says EPL footballers' take-home salaries just went up 5% today. And Colin says in the Liverpool match we could see the passion back in the squad. We could see that each week. Absolutely, and I think we finally have a team that we can get behind. And not only get behind, but that we can actually like. For the last 2 or 3 years, the Manchester United teams have been hard to like. Maybe individual players have been hard, you might like, and obviously you might like Ronaldo, you might like Bruno Fernandes or whoever it is. But as a team now and how we're playing, it is very, they're very likeable, I have to say. But yeah, anyway, look, let's move on for that. And like I said, keep the pressure on, keep putting Glazers out on everything you do. Any social media post you put up, Glazers out all the way. And let's see what happens. Keep smashing the like button as well for us, guys, if you haven't done so. Really appreciate it. Nearly at 2,000 likes on TikTok as well, which is great to see. Keep tapping that screen for me. Helps the channel out an awful lot. Brendan says Martinez's attitude is a breath of fresh air. Oh, absolutely. Just an absolute breath of fresh air. And it's great to see, and we're going to get onto it, and it kind of segues nicely into what I want to talk about next, which is Harry Maguire. Dylan says early stages still have trust issues with a lot of them players. Absolutely. And it's going to take a lot more performances like we've seen over the last month or so, for that trust to come back. Absolutely. Jessica says, unfortunately, I've been to a game and had a bad experience. And memes for life says City are still better. Of course they're still better. Of course they're still better. No one is saying otherwise here. So yeah, I mean, getting on to, I suppose, more in-house things. And obviously in the last 24 hours or so, the main talking point has been Harry Maguire and some of the comments that have come out in relation to Harry. Now, this hasn't come directly from Harry Maguire. It's come from a source, okay? Now, a source, you would have to say, sounds a bit iffy, okay? But the person who reported this is Mark Ogden. Now, Mark Ogden writes for ESPN, and he's a very reputable journalist, you would have to say. So he's not going to put this stuff out without doing his research and without realizing that there's something here. So basically what happened is a source close to Harry Maguire says Harry needs pace around him, but he hasn't had that. If you put Ruben Diaz in the Man United defence and Harry in the City back four, Diaz would struggle and Harry would thrive. Now straight away, now there's more, and I'm going to get onto more of them, but straight away, I'm picking holes in this already. And so if you're saying Harry Maguire needs pace around him, he needs pace around him. This season, he's had the same three beside him in a back four on numerous occasions. That would be Martinez, Malacia and Dalot, who all have pace. And what has happened every time Harry Maguire has played? We've lost. Or started. Anyway, we've lost. So that instantly, bye-bye, Harry. Our source close to Harry, you're talking through your fucking arse. Because that means absolutely nothing. Because he's had pace beside him and we've still lost these games, and he specifically has played poorly in these games. It goes on to say then that Harry hasn't had a good 12 months, but he hasn't been helped by those around him, coaches or players. So it's inevitable his confidence and form has suffered. So not only now is he not taking responsibility himself for his own performances, but he's blaming his coaches and his teammates. So I don't know how many of you that are watching have played in a team sport before, but regardless of how bad you were playing, you would never, ever, ever go out and publicly put down and put the blame on the players that are around you and your teammates. And then to put it on the coaches as well. It just goes to show the mentality that's going on within his, himself and his inner circle. And it's just a nightmare to see. And we've had so much positivity over the last, month or so, and the same old bullshit is creeping in now again, in relation to what we seen last year with leaks, with, back talk, with backstabbing, with rumours, all this kind of bullshit. And I think it's, it's the same players, okay? It's the same players that we've seen last year that were bitching and moaning, that were making excuses, all of this kind of stuff that I think, I just can't wait for him to go. I really can't. I think the likes of Harry Maguire, and I don't want to name other players because there's not maybe other, it's positive at the moment within the club, and there's not a lot of negativity. So obviously with Maguire, look, I think he realizes. Let's put it this way: I think he realizes now that he's no longer first choice, and he can be the captain all he wants. But I think it's come to the fore now that he realizes he's not the number one, and he's not going to be starting the majority of the games, and tough shit, Harry. You know what I mean? Because, any other player, not any other player, but any player with a good mentality, good mindset, that wants to do well for himself and his team, would just put his head down, work hard in training, try and improve, and try and get back into the team. But all of this stuff then is coming back out, and he's looking at, giving out about his teammates, giving out about, his coaches and things like that. And it just goes to show the mentality. But there was one other thing he said then as well, or the source said, that Maguire's frustration with David De Gea's communication and reluctance to defend further away from his goal line were a factor in the overall malaise in defence last season. So it's coming out now and he's blaming De Gea over it because of his reluctance to play further away from his goal line and communication errors. So basically, a goalkeeper or a player that's lived in Manchester and lived in England for the bones of 10 years, who can speak basically fluent English, you're talking about communication issues there. And then you're talking about playing away from his reluctance to play away from his goal line, high up the field. But that goes against what you said in the first one, that Maguire needs pace around him or else he's not going to play well. But if you're wanting your goalkeeper to play a high line, that means you have to play a high line. So not only do you want your goalkeeper to play a high line, that will allow you to play a high line, but then you have to have other players around you that have pace to cover you because you're not able to play a high line. It's just total bullshit. It's total bullshit coming out. I think it's time for Harry Maguire to go. I think he needs to be dropped into the reserves, into the under 21s, because he's clearly a bad egg within that dressing room. Poor negativity, and I think he's come to the fore that, you know, there's good positive vibes coming out of Manchester United at the moment in the way we're playing, in the way Ten Hag is setting it up, and all of that kind of stuff. And Maguire's not liking this because he's not involved in it, and all of this bullshit leaks are starting to happen again, you know. And it was the same as last year, so it's pretty easy to see. A source close to Harry Maguire, sure, realistically that could be anyone. I know, Davey, but I said it previously as well that it was Mark Ogden that came out with the story. Now, he's a reputable journalist, and he's not going to come out with that unless he knows there's some substance behind it, you know, which, you know, if it was the Daily Mail coming out with it, we'd be saying, right, okay. But he's a chief senior writer for ESPN, so look, I think it does have some legs. I really do. But look, we'll see what happens. Pal is in. Good to see you, pal. And our one and only subscriber as well. Anyone else watching, guys, if you do want to subscribe, you can to the TikTok channel. You get a badge beside your name like Pal has there as well. You get some extra content that we're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. And you have a chance of joining the lives like this if you wish to do so as well. So if you do want to subscribe, the option is there for you on TikTok as well. Let's see. Did you watch Bruno's interview? Said Dylan. I certainly did, Dylan. I thought it was very good. I thought he spoke very well. Positive, and obviously he spoke his mind. He had some things to say about Solskjaer and about Rangnick, and he had some good things to say about Ten Hag as well. So yeah, I thought it was very good, I have to say. Let's see. Dylan says, why did the source say anything? It's obvious coming from Slabhead. That's what it looks like to me, I have to say. Hello, dear. Any update about Mason Greenwood? Nope. Let's see. Let's see what people are saying on YouTube here as well. Scott McTominay is the GOAT, says Twigs. And Cottle says Maguire could just turn into another Phil Jones and run down his contract for the money. Look, to be honest, I don't really care. He could do that, Cottle. I agree with you. He certainly could. And it wouldn't bother me in the slightest, as long as he's not involved in the first team. If he's going to be negative like this, then, just get rid of him. And that, whether that be sell him or whether that would be, drop him into the reserves. Chris says, sad that he can't just ask for a transfer without throwing guys under the bus. Absolutely. And Mickey says, what's happening, folks? Sorry, late to the party. No problem, Mickey. Thanks for joining, pal. We're just talking about Maguire and how much of a numpty he is. But yeah, I mean, it certainly is interesting. But yeah, anyone? Let's see. But yeah, let's talk about Lisandro Martinez, because he is a player that I've wanted to discuss as well, since we've been talking about centre backs and how much of a breath of fresh air he's actually been. He's been an absolute revelation for Manchester United, and not only in relation to his performances, but in relation to his attitude and his desire and his focus and all of that. And he seems to have given, and Chris puts it up there, the sticker is there, Martinez is there, absolutely, and he seems to have given everybody a lift, and not just him. Obviously, look, the late Christian Eriksen is there as well, and he's after winning Player of the Month as well for Manchester United, which is fantastic. And it just goes to show, how well Ten Hag is after doing in the transfer window, I have to say. We didn't sign a lot of our, not a lot, a couple of our first choice targets, but Ten Hag clearly had his homework done in relation to maybe not who he wanted, but the type of player he wanted. And he's after saying this a couple of times in his interviews since. Sorry, my throat has gone dry. Cheers. He's after saying this a couple of times in his interviews that, we can, he was asked about, obviously, the January transfer window, and we're going to be going in for more players. And he said, we can go in and get players, absolutely, but it has to be the right player. And I think that's kind of, it's pretty obvious that, he'd done that in the summer transfer window. He had a list of maybe first choices. Obviously, De Jong was the main one. He wanted Timber. Obviously, they didn't happen. Martinez coming in, he knows the type of player he is. Eriksen, he coached for a while at Ajax as well. Obviously, Casemiro precedes himself all the time, given his professionalism and what he's won in the game. He obviously knows Anthony as well from Ajax. And of course, Malacia, from the Dutch league. So he obviously didn't coach him before, but he had a pretty good idea of the kind of mentality he had. And it's great to see. And if over the next maybe 2 to 3 transfer windows, so let's say 4 transfer windows. So January, summer, January, summer. Okay, so if we're saying summer of 2024, if we can continue to add maybe 3 players, 4 players with the same kind of mentality, the same kind of desire that the likes of Martinez, Malacia, Eriksen, these guys have, then we'll be looking pretty good. I really do think we'll be looking pretty good. And if you look at, say, the players that are currently in the Manchester United squad, or sorry, that are still there, say, that have carried over from last season, the improvements that we've seen simply by Ten Hag having them for the space of 2-3 months, whatever it is now, is absolutely phenomenal. So not only has he got his signings right, but the players that he currently or that he already had before he made these signings, he's after making improvements with. Jadon Sancho is after improving. Scott McTominay is after improving. Diego Dalot is after improving. Fucking Rashford is after improving. De Gea is after improving. So not only is he buying well, but he's also coaching very well. And if we can continue this trend, and I mean, let's look at the improvements that we've seen with Dalot and McTominay, for example, over the space of 2 months. What are they going to be like in 2 years' time? Now, look, McTominay is I'm not McTominay's biggest fan, but I'm saying in general, and how good Ten Hag is at improving players that he's had for 2 months. What is it going to be like in 2 years' time? On top of potential new signings that are going to come in the door, January, summer. So look, I mean, it's looking bright, and we're not going to get carried away too much here, because we obviously do want to, stay within our bounds. We're not going to be winning the league this year. If we do, Jesus Christ, I'll do a live stream naked. Actually, I won't, just in case. But yeah, I mean, it's looking good, and obviously it's only been 6 weeks. We've had a good maybe month to 6 weeks or so. So, let's not get too carried away. There is going to be periods throughout the next, couple of years that we are going to have some, difficult weeks and, months maybe, where maybe performances might be too good or things like that. But we just have to be patient and trust the process, and trust Ten Hag and trust his vision, And I've said it throughout the transfer window over the summer that if Ten Hag decides he wants a certain player, then I'm on board for it. I'm on board, And even when we were in for the likes of, Arnautovic and, Rabiot, players like that, as much as I mightn't agree with them kind of signings, I'll say, okay, I'll get on board. Let's go for it, Mickey says Dalot has been the biggest turnaround under Ten Hag. Absolutely. Let's see. And Chris says, hey bros, famous American hockey coach says, the name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. I mean, that's just an absolutely fantastic saying. I've never heard that one before, and it's certainly true. The badge is more important than the name on the back, absolutely. And Kyle says Dalot and Malacia are the best full-back pairing in the world right now. And I mean, look, if you look at, say, the centre-back partnership of Varane and Martinez, you would struggle to find a better in-form partnership in the Premier League at the moment, so yeah, I mean, I can't think of one. Obviously, look, you'd be looking at City, they chop and change, but they've been conceding goals as well. So I mean, look, it's great, absolutely. Let's see what people on TikTok are saying. As a United fan myself, let's not get atop of ourselves, says Lynch. Absolutely, I agree with you. We're not getting carried away, but we can enjoy a bit of positivity for once. It's been a long, long time since we've had positivity like this. So obviously, let's not get carried away, but let's enjoy it while it lasts, because it mightn't last forever. Obviously, like I said, we're going to go through maybe sticky periods again, and we just have to get behind our team and the manager. Are all the Glazers out? Yes. Let's go. Jason says City will tell. Well, look, City will tell, and if we go and get beat to City, obviously I don't want us to lose to City. I never want Manchester United to lose, of course. But if we go and get beat by City, but the performances are good, and the style of play is good, and you can see what we're trying to do and things like that, then I won't be too disheartened. Obviously, I'll be gutted to lose to City, but I won't be too disheartened. And like you said, let's trust the process. If we're trying to play the right way, if we're trying to continue to play like Ten Hag wants us to play, if we're playing with tempo, if we're playing with passion, all of that kind of stuff, then okay, I won't be too disheartened if we lose to City, because City are pretty damn good, you would have to say. So as much as it kills me to say. So I agree with you there. Jessica says Ericsson is a force to be reckoned with for sure. He is one awesome player. He has fitted in perfectly. He certainly has. He absolutely certainly has. Democrat says Varane had a good game versus Austria. Yeah, I didn't see that now. I might go back and look at some of the highlights. Quote is from the movie Miracle, says Chris. Perfect. I'll give that a watch. And Frank says, Man U fan from Uganda, but would like to be in Old Trafford one time. That reminds me, guys. I have 2 tickets available for the Manchester United versus Sheriff game. If anybody is interested in them, if anyone is interested in buying them, let me just double check the dates here. But I have a cup season ticket to Old Trafford for the Europa League games and the cup games and things like that. So I just want to let everybody know if anybody is interested in it. Let me just double check here. Let me see, matches. England. I think is it the end of October? Let me just double check. And United fixtures, because I want to make sure that I'm giving you the right date. See all. Yeah, so the 27th of October, I have 2 tickets to Old Trafford. They're side by side. And if anybody is interested in them tickets, if you do want to buy them, they are available. So give me a shout. Either send me a DM on Instagram or on TikTok or anywhere like that. If you do. If you do want to go, I can't make the game myself, so I'll be happy to pass them on to someone if you do want, or if you are interested in going to the game. They're not free. They're certainly not free because it costs me money. But yeah, unfortunately I can't go to the game. So if anyone is interested in going, drop me a DM either on TikTok or on Instagram, and we can set something up. I have them by email, so all I have to do is email them to you. So send us a DM. If you want them tickets, and I'll discuss price and stuff like that with you. Stuff like that, yeah. Let's see what people are saying here. Chris says, movie. Oh, yeah, seen that. Chris says, hats off to City for building a class squad. Absolutely. Varane looked great. Are you not going? No, so I can't go to the game. And Twig says, Maguire is the greatest player to grace the game. Twigs, send us some of that stuff you're smoking, will you? But yeah. Look, guys, quick one on tonight. Like I said, let me just check the calendar here. What are we doing for the next week? I'm going to be doing a watch along on. We're going to be doing, so we have our again, another news show like this on Monday night. So I hope you can all join. Just a quick one tonight. I wanted to jump on and say hello. Jonathan, thanks for the gift on TikTok. Really appreciate it. So yeah, we're going to be doing a watch along for Ireland's game on Tuesday. So make sure you tune in for that as well. And we're going to be doing obviously our news show on Monday and Wednesday as well. And then I'll be putting up the City versus United preview video on YouTube on Thursday. Thursday or Friday, so keep an eye out for that as well. And then Sunday, next Sunday, then obviously we have our City versus United watch along. So I'm buzzing for that as well. So I hope to see you all Monday, guys. If you can't make a Monday, we'll see you for the watch along. If anyone wants to join in the watch along, even if you're not from Ireland, jump on. We're going to be doing the Ireland watch along versus Armenia in the Nations League. So jump in, say hello. We'll have a chat. We'll keep an eye on all the other scores as well while we're watching it. Again, we'll have the news show Wednesdays and Fridays as normal. And Manchester Derby next Sunday. But yeah, thanks for everyone who jumped on, guys. If you haven't done so, please smash a like on the video. Anybody on TikTok, if you want to subscribe, you have the options of doing that as well to getting some extra features and content. Make sure you do that as well. But yeah, I appreciate everyone coming on, guys. And I'll chat to you on Monday night. Take care.